What's going on, guys? Welcome back to W.D.Y.D. CSP. What do you do as a central sterile processor? Guys, we're going all the way back to basics in decontamination with Ronguers type instruments. All right, Ronguers is a broad term for many different types of devices. I'm not going to go into naming each instrument here because, as I stated before, there's people out there that do it way better than me. So, in decontamination, what should we be looking for? Well, first and foremost, whether you've been in this field for years or just getting into this field, I am hoping that someone gave you the heads up as to what to look for when cleaning Ronguers type instruments, that they gave you pretty much the 411 in the layout as to what to look for and how challenging some of these devices, and I'm not going to say challenging, how tiresome it is to clean some of these instruments. So we're going to assume the OR did the best they could. They removed all the gross soil, pre-treated the device before it came down to decon, and now it's in our hands to manually clean these devices. Right? 3-sink setup. First sink, in my opinion, should be your rinse sink. Second sink is your soak and wash sink. Third sink is your final rinse before you're drying. And then through the window over to the assembly side. So we are rinsing the device to remove all gross soil and chemistry that's present on this instrument. Okay, just to give you a heads up on the this type of Ronguers. Okay, this is a double action type. Okay, things to look for is an distinguishing features of it. Okay, it has the jaw, which is a biting action to remove bone. Okay, it has the double action, so that means that it bends in two different sections. It pivots in two different sections to give it a stronger bite, right? So here and here is your pivot points, okay, causing a stronger biting action than a single action. Okay, when you have those pivot points, you have screws that you want to look for, right? And you have joints where bioburden and debris can sneak into, right? So you want to inspect those areas very well, okay? Anywhere where there's screws, make sure that you're looking at that. So when you're giving a rinse, you're looking in those areas to make sure that there's nothing lodged in those areas. Most importantly is that jaw. That jaw usually has, I'm not going to say usually, but if proper pre-treatment wasn't done, you can see lodged bone in the jaws, especially when you get into the smaller diameters or the narrower jaws of these instruments. This one right here is probably the one everyone's familiar with that is notorious for having debris jammed into the crevice here or into the groove, right? So that's definitely an area where you want to inspect while you're rinsing, okay? You want to manipulate your device while you're rinsing to help loosen up some of that soil and dislodge it, okay? If needed be, you can use a small bristle brush to remove some of them soils. And I'm gonna give you a trick of the trade, especially with this device here. When you're rinsing and about to soak, prior to soaking, you wanna use a nice little narrow device to get that bone out of there, because it's very difficult. You're not gonna get it out of there with a brush. Even with the bristle brush, with the metal brush, it's gonna be very difficult to remove that bone. So one of my favorite tools as a scrub tech is the sickle knife, okay? The sickle knife will get that bone out of there very easily. You get it into the groove and you just kind of flick that bone out of there. You will often see on the surgical field, this is what they use to remove bone from this type of Ronguers, all right? Again, that is not the intended use of this device. And if you have one that's beyond life, like this one here, this one can't even get sharpened no more. This is probably a good tool to have in decontamination to remove that bone. But you would have to, again, develop a very strong policy as to why you're using a device intended for surgery for cleaning, right? So that one's kind of hard to speak to. Another one is this little device here, okay? This little device has nice little curved edges. One's a 90 degree, one's a 45, and that'll get in there really good as well. Nice heavy duty tip on there so it won't break on you, to remove that bone prior to soaking, right? You're gonna soak your instruments for the allotted time by the manufacturer or by the chemistry itself, okay? And as you're soaking, please be aware that some Ronguers type instruments have a flush port, right? So prior to soaking and while you're soaking, you definitely want to rinse with a flush, right, to remove any debris in there. And then when you're soaking, you want to make sure that you prime your instrument underwater to make sure that you get detergent in that groove so that it can break down the soil. Okay. Some instruments come apart. I don't have any that come apart here, and I apologize that I don't have any that are that can be disassembled. But it is a good idea that if you have a device that can be disassembled, okay, I lied to you guys. This one here can be disassembled, all right? So you want to open this up right here, this Ronguers type right here, and you want to get into that groove really good. Place that in your soaking water. Let that soak very well. Okay, after you're done soaking, after your soak time is up, you want to go ahead and either use a sponge of some sort or a towel to clean under the surface of the water, brushes to brush those jaws and those hard to reach areas, okay, especially the little grooves. As such, you want to go ahead and give that a soft bristle brush in there, give it a nice, get some friction in there to remove that broken down soil that hopefully is loosened up good enough for you guys to remove it, okay? You're gonna head over to your rinse sink, and over in your rinse sink, give it a thorough rinse to remove detergent and any particulates that may have re-adhered onto the surface of the device, okay? Prior to sending it through the window, you wanna ensure that you dry your instrument very well before passing it through the, pass through the window to go over in the prep and pack side. Instruments that can go back together. Oftentimes these are not taken apart because they can break very easy. They're very delicate. So you might want to place this in a basket separately rather than jumbling everything up so that when people take it out, they're not yanking it or bending it. Or be kind and just reassemble the device for individuals, right? Very easy to reassemble. Just go ahead and pop it together, right? Bend the section and just put it right back into its groove there, right? All right, so there you go. So your instrument is back together. All right. Anyway, guys, I hope this gave you a little refresher course as to what to do in decontamination with your Ronguers type instruments. Again, picking the bone out of there, you want to use a device. There are devices that are sold for that purpose. I'm sorry, I do not know the name of the devices off the top of my head. I will get you that information and I'll post it in the comment section. I do not advocate utilizing medical devices for cleaning if that's not the purpose of the device. Just letting you know what we do out here in the field, for real, for real. But anyway, guys, as always, stay true to yourselves. Keep it 100. Continue educating yourselves. And until next time, peace.